Welcome to another St. Pete by Night production. The following is rated for mature audiences and may contain graphic themes that will be distressing to some viewers. As always, we recommend you ensure the safety and well-being of yourself and those around you at all times. Viewer discretion is advised.
In the heart of night, we rise from shadows, calling at the moon, igniting our battles, cleansing Gaia of an endless fight, until our final days we will fight. Thanks, man, we stand united as one. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the grave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take our final stand. Everywhere we run, the wind is at our back. All the worm's forces we will track. From the depths of the ocean to the clouds in the sky, vampires tremble as we learn to fight. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Evil spirits lurking with horror and dread. Little light leads us where the brave dare tread. Glory and honor, wisdom in our hand. Together we rise, take a final stand. Rage across Tampa, in this fight we'll stay. Everywhere with the pack, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide. Rock will never hide.
Good evening and welcome to the St. Pete by Night Entertainment Network. St. Petersburg by Night is an online World of Darkness role-playing community originated in St. Petersburg, Florida, but now spread to the world at large. My name is Kent, also known as Misha Kent on all social media, and I will be your storyteller tonight. And it is Tuesday night, and you know what that means. It's time for Rage Across Tampa, our Werewolf the Apocalypse 5th edition chronicle set in the city of Tampa, Florida, where the Sept of the Evening Star attempts to combat the forces of the worm, both physical and spiritual. But before we get into all of that, have you signed up for a Ko-fi membership yet? Because if you haven't, for as low as $5 a month, you can get access to all kinds of behind-the-scenes features, including Rosebud Thorns post sessions, early announcements about upcoming changes, merch discounts, and much, much more. So go follow that Ko-fi link down below and find yourself a membership, because it helps support this amazing community, this program, this channel, all of it. We couldn't do it without you, so please go sign up. That being said, you should also go sign up for all of this social media to follow us down below, to stay up to date on all things St. Pete by Night, because if you're going to be clicking links, you might as well click all of them. I mean, why not, right? But let's get to the real reason we are here, which is Rage Across Tampa, by introducing the amazing players who make this game possible. Players, go ahead and introduce yourselves, if you please.
Hi, everybody. I'm Champ, Champagne, literally just a guy, and I will be playing Aspen Wise, Philodox of the Silverfangs.
Even if Champ is just a guy, nobody hit her with your car. Hello, everybody. I am Nori, and I will be playing Malicious Jester, the Galliard of the Black Furies.
Hey everyone, my name's Preston. I play Jason Dreams Decay Thorn, the Urge of the Bonar.
I don't have a bit today. Howdy do, how are all of you? My name is Nick. I'll be playing Izzy, aka Entwined Smiles with Claws, the Arun child of Gaia.
I love that Preston is like the last person to just do a traditional straightforward opening. It's fantastic. way. Hi, players. Let's go ahead and get everybody caught up as to where we are now. Last week, we saw Izzy head to the martial arts combat arts training gym where they met Javier, who they had previously met with Terrence, and were given a bit of an interview / tryout to get a job with the program at the gym, that they would be training, they would be helping supply the gym, they would be helping work with underage youths that are at risk. A lot of potential and a potentially volatile situation for a guru, as frustration can often take hold. But Izzy was able to show their restraint, their calm, and was able to make a further connection with Javier and get the job. We then saw Jester touch base with Eliza, where Eliza tried to give her some advice and guidance about the inner conflict she's had ever since Piney Point. But in actuality, Eliza revealed just how distracted she has been lately, which prompted Jester to push a little bit harder to find out what exactly is going on with the Stargazer Theurge. It was then revealed, with the presence of the cult of Fenris and the return of Brandon, that Eliza is having some conflict, and she even talked a little bit more about what led to this course of events. We then saw Jace get a little bit of assistance, both digitally and mentally and emotionally, as he met with Artie to discuss the contents of Denton's phone, one of his old sept mates that had been kept from back in the attack on Tilden Mine. He also was able to discuss what was really bothering him and what had triggered him about the whole encounter with Charles at Piney Point, and delve a little bit deeper into that. As soon as it seemed like he was starting to find some resolution and inner peace, however, the phone revealed a awful truth, which was that his sept had been betrayed by one of their own, someone by the name of Big Jim Stonewall, and Arun within the sept, who had seemed to use a sneak attack against the leader, Denton, at the mine, which may have helped in some way turn the tides of the battle to the Black Spiral Dancer's favor. Witnessing this betrayal, Jace, needless to say, felt many feelings about it, including a strong need for revenge and answers as to what caused this kind of betrayal. And then finally, Aspen Weiss, sept leader of the Sept of the Evening Star, had her first meeting with Victor Iron Oath Volkov from the Sept of the North Country, a high-ranking and elder Silverfang, originally from Russia, who had come down to supposedly learn about what's going on in this sept, but in reality to retrieve the heir and return them to their seat of power so that they could take up the mantle of king and relieve Jonas Albrecht from the throne, who's been not doing as well as most would hope, having succumbed to Hirano and having made some crazy decisions like taking a stray off the street and potentially making them the next queen. Needless to say, there's a lot going on here. And with the dreaming on the horizon, let's hop into our first scene of the evening. Jace, you've had a lot of things happening lately, to be completely honest, with your trip out to Orlando and discovering the world of mages and the weave, with Moses now being told that he has to undo the magic he did to the staff which bound Eshu to give you access to the dreaming to rescue Turtle, but the process of doing so could potentially be very costly, as he would lose all access to the weave as Paradox corrects itself and makes things right. And now, with everything that happened with Charles at Piney Point, with the reveal of the betrayal within your old sept, how's Jace feeling about everything right now?
Been a rough year for him. Overwhelmed would be an understatement with a lot that's going on every time that he tries to concentrate on the present with what's going on with going into the dreaming, there's those pieces in the back of his mind about his old pack that come to the forefront, and then he starts going down that rabbit hole of everything that happened there. And then Charles comes up and more of his past comes up, and he just can't seem to get away from it. And then even with the things on the present, there's a lot that can go wrong. And once the staff's broken, that's only one piece to this puzzle. So he's trying to think of what to do when they actually go to the dreaming, what to expect for that, trying to plan for the next step, almost trying to get this chess game to play 10 moves ahead. But the chessboard is one blank sheet of paper and everyone else is moving around and he's trying to catch up.
So let's go ahead and do some early paperwork here by having you roll a introductory composure and resolve check to see just where your rage level is at to begin all of this.
So am I going to start with rage 1?
We're starting with rage 1, but the difficulty will determine how much you actually end up at.
3.
Okay, you're going to start out with rage 2.
Okay.
So you're at kind of like a consistent rage 2 right now. While the temptation to fly off the handle is there, you are keeping a lid on it, keeping your cool and calm, knowing that all of it's going to be resolved in time, hopefully. So we find ourselves at the Split Helm, the bar that you have established along the docks of Tampa, along the port of Tampa, where you get access to a lot of the port itself, a lot of the workers at the port, but occasionally you also get some truckers who come through. And since you've extended a invitation to the Tampa Howlers, you've had a pretty constant biker presence with the knowledge that drinks are significantly cheaper at this establishment than most others. But on this particular day, it's earlier in the day. The bar isn't actually officially open. The sunlight is still streaming in, the morning light through the windows, and you were awakened rather early by Moses saying that he wanted to meet with you as he called you. So you've headed to the bar to have this meeting, and you can feel the weight and exhaustion of the past few weeks really weighing heavily upon you. Mental work, emotional work is hard. It's some of the hardest work that anyone will have to do, and it can truly leave a lasting effect, especially the vulnerability of it, which is known as a vulnerability hangover. And having had these conversations with Artie, having learned all of this information, you could definitely start to feel the pressure of all of it, just kind of pulling like an anchor around your neck. So maybe you're a little bit more stooped over today, a little bit more slumped shouldered. You definitely have bags under your eyes as you've had to be waking up very early in the day for this meeting with Moses. But as you arrive at the bar and unlock everything, eventually you get a knock at the back door into the private room that you've set up for the Ratkin and for Vale-friendly meetings within the establishment. As you go to open the door, Moses is standing in the doorway, also bearing a very similar visage to your own, looking like somebody who is sleeping very well and kind of has the weight of the world on their shoulders. But in their hand, they carry a stack of books, some of them seemingly to be obvious fiction or fantasy novels, others seeming to be guides and artwork of a fae influence. Then there's this journal that is well worn and faded that sits atop the stack of books. It looks like it has been manhandled, to say the least. It's been seeing a lot of use, especially recently. And he kind of moves past you, trying to relieve himself of the weight of the books, dropping them down onto the table, and says, "Okay, I have been remembering more and more what it was I did, and I think I'm almost ready to undo everything."
He'll be standing at the door. "No, please come in." And he'll dramatically shut the door behind him and then walk over and take a seat. Good morning. So,
Is it
what have you
morning
found out?
already?
The sun do be out.
Well, first off, if I remember correctly, you told a blind old man that he could come by anytime he wanted to for a meal. This meal just happens to be breakfast. That being said, got anything you can whip together?
Yeah, you put your nose in the books. I'll go make something real quick. He'll walk by and kind of squeeze on his shoulder a little bit and then walk to the kitchen, and then he'll prepare 2 sandwiches that Moses likes, with the pastrami, the salami, the pepperoni, lettuce, tomato, honey mustard, and 3.5 onions.
Ooh, very specific. As you return with the sandwiches, Moses thanks you, but then immediately dives into it hungrily, looking like he probably hasn't eaten in several hours, if not the last 24 hours, by the way he is just voraciously tearing into this sandwich. He then opens up the journal and turns it towards you, and on there you see a lot of unrecognizable nonsense, symbols, glyphs, but also you see interpretations of the glyphs written in English that say like harness, trap, enclose, empower, that kind of thing, trying to explain. And as you look at the glyphs, you think back to the staff that you have long been in possession of, and thinking about the symbols that you saw carved upon the staff, most of them appeared like they were telling a story. But intermixed in that story, you start to recognize some of the symbols written on the page to be those on the staff itself. There are also other symbols that are not on the staff that are clearly drawn to disenchant, free, release. And it looks like his intention, based off of these notes, is to replace the sigils on the staff with new symbols that should unmake the bindings that have occurred.
This is really extensive. How long did it take you to make the staff in the first place?
Well, time is sort of relative. You live the way I live. It's days. It took days. Well, really weeks, honestly. Not as long as one would think. A lot of this symbology is very basic knowledge when it comes to being a namer, as Izzy put it. But I realized my mistake and where everything went wrong as I went over the process. I didn't put in a protection glyph. I didn't put in anything to stop possession from whatever entity was entrapped, because the wielder of the staff obviously has access to the knowledge and power. But when you're dealing with a powerful entity, that access goes both ways. And if I remember, we had a conversation. Well, Eshu had a conversation where he said it was like a key.
Yeah.
He was right. It was a key, and it should have been a lock. And it wasn't. Now, all of it is wrong and stupid, and in my age and everything, I can see why it was a bad idea to begin with. But when you're used to working with the forces of creation, you can kind of sometimes get ahead of yourself.
So your purpose the whole time of making this was to entrap someone, to just gain knowledge.
Honestly, yeah. the dreaming and the Fae and everything having to do with that has always been more of a mystery to us. And I thought, with good intention, knowing more would be better. Having more insight, more access to the forces at work. I mean, we know a great deal about Guru and about vampires and ghosts, wraiths, as we call them. We have a vast variety of knowledge, but the Fae and the dreaming have always been this other, this unknown. And what we don't know can be dangerous. What we don't know, what we don't have a handle on, could prove problematic, especially if we aren't prepared for what we're going to encounter. And knowing that there are powerful entities out there, or almost like sleeping spirits being born into these individuals, something we'd like to at least be aware of. We spend a lot of time as observers to all of the goings on in the world, and some of the older practitioners have obviously lost interest and gone into things more theoretical and astral. But I was curious about this. I didn't plan to steal power. I wasn't looking to take it. I was looking to learn, at the very least.
I think you missed the mark by that much.
You're telling me.
So, with this process, with everything that you're going to be doing, is there anything you're needing from me, from us, to make this easier on you? 'Cause I don't know like what all it's going to take for you to make this happen. But I want to make it as easy as possible for you.
Well, you don't have any access to the winds of a tornado or hurricane, do you?
Fresh out, sorry.
Or the lava from a volcano?
Nope, none of that. I don't think we got those kind of shops around here.
What about silt from the deepest depths of the ocean?
I can ask around and see what I can find, but it's probably going to be a no.
I think a candle, some water, natural sourced water, preferably running water, some dirt untouched by man, and probably just some incense could work just fine.
Luckily, most of that's going to be a one-stop shop for me. I know someone who is going to be able to help quite easily with all that stuff.
Had a feeling. The last thing that I do need, and this is going to take a little bit more extra effort, is chalk, but ground up chalk, not solid. I need the dust of it to create the necessary circles around. Should be easy enough, but it does take a little bit of extra effort.
Okay. Yeah, that shouldn't be too hard either.
He quiets for a moment with that 1,000-yard stare of contemplation, then looks at you. Gotta be honest, Jace, I don't know what's gonna happen. I know how I did it. I was able to trace back those steps and figure it out. And I think I'm confident I can safely undo what was done without breaking reality. But there is a possibility, a potential, that anything inside of the circle could be altered. Could be... I don't know. I've done the preparation, and he turns a page in the journal in front of you and points, and you can see a bunch of warding rituals and a bunch of sigils for protection. These symbols will protect everything outside of the circle, basically limit the blast radius of whatever's going to happen. But anything inside, including myself, isn't safe from that. And honestly, it's probably something I deserve, but I didn't want you to be unprepared for the possibility that this could do some damage.
All right. Well, what precautions can you take to make sure that doesn't happen?
I can take some, but we're talking about the powers of the dreaming itself, the powers of the land of Fae just being unleashed. It's like breaking a dam or turning off or turning on a hose after the hose has been cinched for a long time. It's going to be sudden. It's going to be powerful. And truth be told, I don't know for sure what state Eshu's going to be in when they see the opportunity of freedom waved right in front of them. How forcefully they're going to come out and how much ire they may have for what was done. Which is why I don't want to subject any of you to any of it.
For one, if I was locked in a stick for a long time, I'd be a little upset too, so I can't necessarily blame them. But they're aware of my feelings about you, and if they lash out, just as much as I'm needing them, they need me, and they need the group. I don't think they're going to be going out and breaking bonds right away. They might give you a couple dirty looks, maybe some harsh words, but it should be okay.
Yeah.
But I have been thinking about you for a while you've been doing this. I went and got a couple things that might help. Just a second. He'll run back to the back side of his room real quick. He'll come back with just this black bag. So with what I am as a guru, I have these different feelings about stuff. And so as I'm lately I've been taking...
Wait. You have to be a guru to have feelings about stuff?
You feel more this way. Shut up. Ha ha. Funny old bitch. Anyways. Been taking more walks lately. But as I was going through, the feelings I get are stronger than others, where the pull isn't so much where it's a pull of like the skin, it's a pull of my being to something. And so I followed it, and around corners and down alleys, I came across a building kind of pushed off into the corner. I went inside, and there was a guy there, and he heard like the flinging of coins on the counter, almost like they were counting it. I walked in, there was just these rows and rows of different iconography, these different things. And I went to the back, and there was these group of cloaked figures sitting down at a table. So I went over, and they looked like they knew a couple things. So I sat down and watched them as they were conversating about different stuff. And so I asked them, like, what would a great gift for a wizard be? They all looked at me with these really big, pointy, dorky hats. and they asked me a really dumb question. And I'm like, well, what level is the wizard? I don't know. So a couple of them got up and they walked me over to some of these other rows about different things. They're going, showing me all this stuff. And I said, well, what if something like they get hurt? And like, well, they need different potions. He'll reach into the bag, pull out this glass bottle with this like red swirling juice with this cork on top. Apparently, if you drink this, you get really hurt. It's supposed to like heal your wounds. Ignore the fruity taste of it. That kind of like punch that comes. Apparently, that's when it's working. You'll set it down on the table. And they said, if you're doing something really, really crazy, and I was like, oh, they're probably going to be doing something nuts. Like, well, you probably need something to rejuvenate that power. And you'll pull out another glass bottle with a cork on it with this blue swirling liquid. And you'll set it down. This, I guess, if you are doing something really extravagant, it's to rejuvenate that essence within you to make it so it's not as taxing. They also said every wizard has a symbol to show them what they are, a cloak, a hat, something. But they said every great one has a pipe. And he'll pull out a wooden box and he'll turn it and open it. And inside is a pipe that is a hard oak woven with spruce on the inside and a copper for the actual tobacco itself. Now, unfortunately, I don't have any Old Toby or the long bottom leaf, but I went to another shop and I did find some things that they said was pretty good. And they said that this should help as far as you feeling yourself. And I was like, well, yeah, they had this amnesia thing that happened. And so like, oh yeah, well, you could do this and I could kick it back in. I was like, perfect. So these are the items I got. I'm hoping they can help.
You see a glint of mirth enter into his eye and he says, it should help just fine. Mana potion, lesser healing potion, pipe. That's everything you need in the wizard's toolbox, for sure.
That's what they said. Also, they said a dragon, but I'm trying to stay away from those.
Well, I was thinking of you also a lot this week, and I know I'm about to, regardless of what happens, lose access to certain abilities. And they didn't say anything about using it before I lose access. So, but he reaches into his backpack and pulls out what looks to be a leather cuff, or almost like a bracer that goes on the forearm. It goes from the wrist about 3/4 of the way up to the elbow. Looks like something that could be purchased at a Renaissance festival. However, attached to the bracer are several little dangling metallic shields from the bracer itself. And he passes it over to you, and the little shields almost make a chiming or jingling sound as they're passed over. Put that on. It should lessen any negative effects that could be sent your way. It's a shield, obviously. Never said we were clever. But each one of those shields is a chance, is an opportunity to be defended. Once those are out, they're out. It's gone. But there's about 6 shields there. So for the first 6 times you encounter something painful, it will lessen the effects of that pain. And knowing what I've learned about your kind, it should work no matter what shape you're in, as long as you're wearing it. Consider it a thank you gift for taking such good care of me during this whole insane process.
He'll take and he'll put it onto his forearm and like he'll stand up real quick. Like, just bear with me. He'll start shifting into Glabro just to make sure that it will like expand with his forearms and everything, making sure that it's good to go all together.
Go ahead and make the rage check.
Got a 2, so now I'm at rage 3.
Well, your rage goes down, so it's a 1.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right.
So as you make the transition growing in size, you can see Moses take a distinct interest in watching this process of your change. But as you grow, bits of hair sprouting out across your skin, you notice that the bracer grows with you, seems to shift, doesn't grow tighter on your forearms like some of your clothing might in this bigger shape. It's still comfortably tied around your wrist.
He'll look at him, give him a smile, then go back to his Hamid. That's really cool. Thank you.
You need to be safe. You are a good person. And there's definitely a shortage of that in these days. So the good ones we need to look out for as much as we can. And I know you're going into that place, and I don't know what you're going to find. I don't know what you're going to encounter, but it's the least I can do.
Well, if you could do me one more favor. He'll come back to his seat. Past time in Tampa has been difficult, and I have experienced more loss than I'd like to go through again here in the near future. I'm not asking you to promise anything absurd. I'm just wanting you to make a promise that you're going to be as safe as you can and take all the precautions to make sure like something like that doesn't happen.
I am doing my due diligence, but I am still very young in the ways of the weave, all things considered. I was very early in my training and tutelage when I decided to take a stupid risk, but I think I know enough to at least do what needs to be done. Anything beyond that, I don't know.
Maybe you can answer a question, something that we all kind of experienced when we left Orlando. Time. I've experienced time lapses and things like that before. But what felt like hours when looking back was only a few minutes. And I get that from my side of things. I'm curious on how you all are able to do that kind of stuff.
Well, time is a construct in a lot of ways. The passing of the sun overhead and the moon trading places, that's what we've based that construct off of. But in reality, it's all just physics and science. It's all just a manifestation. Understanding that construct, adjusting it. Well, we're not immortal. As practitioners of the weave, we do succumb to death and taxes just as much as anybody else. But we can stall it. We can stall that process for a while, and we can slow it. We can create Well, you've been to your version of the astral plane. I believe you call it the Umbra, yes?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like I've experienced things similar, but I didn't even step foot into the Umbra when in Orlando. So that's why or at least I didn't think I did.
You stepped foot into a version, a manifestation using the same force that your Umbra would.
Okay. Well, that makes a little more sense. Your, trying to remember the term, paradox, your toll that has to be paid. When you perform what needs to be done on the staff, is its paradox going to be satisfied with what's going on, or are they going to demand more of you?
I don't know. That's the unknown element. That's part of that force coming out. You can say that the entity trapped within is fine with this whole process, but they're only one part of it. They're only one factor to take into account. Paradox is trying to restore reality to the way it should have been, to the order and balance it should have been in. And because of this action that I took, it didn't just inconvenience one entity, it affected reality as a whole because of the significance of that entity. What would they have been doing had they been free? What effect would they have had these past 40 years if they weren't trapped? Reality has been changed this entire time because of this. And now it needs to be set right.
I guess that makes sense. Like, you're already losing all your power. I get your connection. So I feel like that's a pretty big toll to pay. It just, I've dealt with spirits in the past where they ask for a lot, and sometimes it outweighs what you're actually giving. And I just don't want to have you go through something similar to that, because you're already giving up something you've already dedicated your life to.
We don't get to pick the consequences of our actions. They just happen. And I deserve whatever is coming to me. I flew too close to the sun. And when my wax wings melt, I'm gonna fall. And while I appreciate the worry, the concern, and don't worry, I've thought hard about what I could do to counter it, what I could do to try and prevent it from potentially being devastating. The truth of the matter is it's going to do what it's going to do. And there's no stopping it. And whatever it decides, it's what I deserve.
You're comfortable with it?
Well, no. I don't think anybody's comfortable with the idea that their existence could be unmade, or their body could be destroyed, or there's too many possibilities to prepare for any of them.
All right. Well, when you make it out of this, you had brought up that you had a concern about that certain group the technocracy, if I remembering that right. My offer still stands. If you want a way to escape, get out, you can make that happen.
Believe me, right now, in this particular moment, the technocracy is the least of my worries. But should we get to the other side of this, I'll definitely consider it.
Okay.
Don't let whatever happens change you. Don't let it throw you off your path or your course. Don't let it make you question the value of what you're doing. You're doing the right thing. You're headed the right way. You're helping an old man in need who you barely knew, if at all. You're a good person. Don't let this make you bitter or vindictive or mad at reality for doing what reality is supposed to do. As much as I'm not looking forward to it, I understand it. And I, in a way, accept it.
They'll take a moment. I will do my best to make sure it doesn't affect me. But if nothing happens to you, then we don't even have to cross that bridge. But I hear what you're saying. That X factor is just hanging over us. And at the end of the day, I still have a job to do.
Don't blame the prisoner for the prison. I don't remember a lot, but I do remember certain things. And I know you were angry a while. I don't want you to be angry because of this.
Anger is wow, I sound just like him. Anger is one of the tools that we have to use as Guru. Now, I'm trying to utilize that tool a little bit better.
Just direct it at something that deserves it. I get that this is a trickster god, but this isn't their fault. It's my fault that this happened. And that's just all there is to it.
Well, even prisoners get out on good behavior.
Could have done a whole lot of damage to me in the years that I had him, and he didn't. So
yeah, the thing about him is, at least with the conversations I've had with him, whether that be through you to me or just the encounters I've had in my dreams, he's very straightforward with me as far as I can tell. There's certain things he'll say to play on the trickster aspect, but every time it's still a path. It's windy, but there's no multiple ends for what he tells me. I just have to walk where he tells me to, and then I'm able to find what his meaning is. Now, the path leading with you, that one's been a bit of a strange one. Me ending up with the staff, and then you in my dumpster. So tricks, but they're all part of the plan to get this. Like he's told me multiple times, this path has been walked. He's seen these things go by. There's been a few bumps, but he ensures that we're doing the right thing, that we're on the correct path. I don't know if that gives you any comfort, but it gives me a little bit, someone of his abilities saying, you're doing the right thing.
But if you're going where it seems that you're going, you're going to need that kind of favor.
Yeah. It's... Do you remember anything? As far as, did you ever go to the dreaming, or do you remember anything of that with him?
Well, honestly, it doesn't, as far as I can tell, work that way. Since I'm, or at least a part of me, was here, my body would stay. The rest of me would go, or at least the part that was him would go.
Right. Yeah.
And truthfully, I couldn't even access it if I tried. And believe me, he tried.
Yeah, that sounds like him. Is there anything you need settled before we get this done? Anyone you need to see, talk to?
You've been my only real friend for a long time. I have... Well, everything that I've experienced outside of that has been his doing. Honestly, my life was put on pause 40 years ago, and now is only starting up again, truly. And the memories I have, I'm having a hard time discerning which were mine and which were his. But the one thing that I know is you were always kind and generous and patient. And that means everything to me, maybe to both of us.
Well, in that case, I will be there for when you make it out of here and you watch us go into a place that you've only dreaming about.
Yeah. I definitely am a little bit jealous, I won't lie. You're about to experience something again, it seems. Twice now. That can only be fantasized about.
Yeah.
I will tell you this. In all of the research that I've done, and he gestures to the stack of books, there's a through line in all of these. The story. Where you're going is a manifestation of millions of stories. Don't forget the stories, because that may be the only thing that keeps you going, not losing yourself in it. Because another through line is forgetting. And not just forgetting what you've seen, what you've experienced, but forgetting yourself. So don't forget yourself. Don't forget your stories. That will keep you anchored.
I'll pass that on to the others.
Good.
That'll be helpful.
Well, I think I have everything I need. I'm gonna spend another day or two just mentally preparing, focusing, finding center, all that good stuff. And it'll be time.
But you're more than welcome to hang out here and do that. You don't need to go wandering off somewhere again. At least here I know where you're at.
I'm going to take a few walks, see the things that I might not be able to see again, enjoy that smell of the salt water, feeling of sand in between my toes. But I'll come back.
Yeah. If you want company on any of those, just let me know. Like, even if the bar's running, I got a few employees that would be more than happy to cover for a little bit.
I'll let you know. You're a good kid,
Well,
Jace.
you should have met me in my youth.
You were destined for greatness. That's just the path it took you down.
I appreciate that. Not much for accolades, so I'm gonna go prep the bar and get it ready for today. He'll stand up and stand behind him and give him a quick squeeze on his shoulders. If you need anything, I'll be up front.
I'll let you know.
Okay.
As he said about doing your tasks, your mind's still divided for certain. As most of this is just second nature at this point. You've owned bars for a long time. You don't even really have to think about it, so it allows your mind to wander. Where is it wandering to?
It at first wanders to it's either like wiping down the bar, getting drink bottles prepped and cleaned. The first meeting he had with Moses, the beach, and seeing him picking up trash. And then it skips forward to when Jace is in possession of the staff and the weird coming to terms with the possession, and then the meeting of Ravi, and all these feelings come rushing up as he starts scrubbing the bar top harder and harder and harder. Then he gets to the point of Ravi's death and he grabs onto a bottle. And at this point, can I do a composure check?
Yeah, composure and resolve.
Two.
Okay. Your rage will spike to 3.
He'll grab the bottle and just chuck it across the other end and then walk out of the bar real quick and then just start pacing down the docks, trying to come to terms with everything that has happened and then getting to the present and what's upcoming, where he could potentially have another close friend die.
A lot of weight for an individual to carry. What often causes Guru to fall into Hoglasker Harano, the weight of it all. Because try as they might, Guru can't control everything. They can't control the passage of time. They can't control the slow decay of Gaia. They can only fight. Fighting is what they do best. But you can't fight forever. The one place really can't fight is in dreams. Not really. We transition now to our next scene. Aspen, you have had a lot of conversations recently, and your most recent conversation has been possibly one of the toughest ones in a while. While Iron Oath made a lot of good points and may have poked a few holes in some of the things you thought were strong in your theories and beliefs, the truth remains. What to do about Charles? You've always left it up to choice, letting people decide for themselves where they're going or what's happening to them. But in this particular case, that idea of choice rivals what you think is best. You've always assumed people are going to come to the right conclusion, the right decision. But you know the power, at least emotionally, a mentor can have over a protege. Will it be about choice, or will it be about duty and obligation, something that has always been a cornerstone of Charles's personality? So as you're contemplating this, you find yourself at the door of the apartment building that Charles and Jester and Chloe live in. Heading to the elevators, you go up to the top floor, to the familiar hallway that leads to Jester's apartment, and you find yourself at the door. Before you knock, what's going through Aspen's head in this moment?
God, I wish I was here to see Jester and not Charles. It's a struggle trying to figure out how to have this conversation of, it's almost like a catch-22 of making sure he's all right, talking about what he's been going through recently and kind of checking in with him, making sure things are being taken care of in that perspective, but then also having to drop something so heavy and put one more thing on his plate feels like the exact opposite of what she wants to try to do in this conversation. So how do you do both without completely destroying the other? How do you comfort him and make sure he's okay and ask him what's going on, but then also completely rip a new hole in what is Charles Albrecht?
Some damage is unavoidable. Skinning your knee as a child, or feeling your first heartbreak as a teenager, not getting the thing you want. But some we do control. Telling harsh truths. It could be the right thing to do. That doesn't make it easy. So as you're bearing that in mind, you knock on the door. A moment later, door opens, and almost immediately you're hit by a wave, a smell of cleaning solutions, all-purpose cleaners, It's strong. Especially considering your place, which is clean, but not this level of clean. Everything has its place, and occasionally you might dust, but not like this. It's almost a smell of disinfectant that hits you. As standing in the doorway is Charles Albrecht. Not wearing a suit coat, but he's wearing the same button-up shirt and slacks, and you can see the top button is undone. And as he sees you, almost instinctively, he goes to button up the top and straighten the tie that has been loosened around his neck. Aspen?
Charles, you know that they have disinfectants now that are better for the environment, and they usually have a citrus smell, so you can kind of get away from the bleach as she walks in and like passes him.
Yes. Jester has told me many, many times. I've just found that they aren't as effective. Would you like something to drink?
Sure, I'll take a coffee.
All right. He walks over to a very fancy coffee machine. Looks like it does coffee and espresso, and starts preparing a drink for you. What can I do for you?
Well, with everything going on right now, with us planning to head into some new unknown, I wanted to check in.
I'm ready when you are.
How have you been with everything? She kind of looks around the apartment at everything sparkling clean.
You can see a conflict enter into his face, a conflict of resolve, keeping up those walls, those barriers, and then just the truth of the matter that he's not doing very well. That his past is haunting him, quite literally at this point, with the arrival of Isidoro and now Iron Oath Volkov. And then the present hasn't been so great either, with Jace and even you. He takes a deep breath, as if coming to a decision. I've been better. I'm adequate, capable, but I've been better.
Not too worried about your capabilities. I know you've always had a way of making that work, although decision making hasn't been your best lately.
His eyebrow rises slightly as he looks over at you. Oh?
You have to know that what's going on is affecting not just your personal interactions, but your job as well. The decision to change leadership with the pups right after a devastating loss, and the pack basically wanting to rip each other apart wasn't the smartest. Having forged allowed to challenge Ray in such a delicate situation isn't the smartest. I can tell something's different.
Aspen, have you ever wondered how things would be different if you hadn't gotten involved? Have you ever questioned everything that you are and everything that you've been through?
Often. And she kind of stones herself because she's not used to having vulnerable conversations with Charles, but she wants to be as honest as possible, but it's uncomfortable.
One of the things I learned my entire life was discipline and control. For the first time, I lost both. And the consequences were severe, more severe than I could have ever imagined. Is one of those elements of control that I was taught was distancing myself. To remain logical, to remain focused. Ever since I've come here, all of that has been thrown into an upheaval in ways that I don't understand. And it infuriates me. I've had to question what I've been taught, seeing the effects of it firsthand, seeing individuals like Isidoro and Jason, and how they're affected by what I believe, what I do, what I know. I go back and forth on whether I belong here, Aspen. A part of me says I do because, well, Jester, relationships I've formed. A part of me, very large part of me, believes that I belong somewhere else. That I am, like the others, a relic of an old time.
Do you want to be? Or is that just where you're comfortable?
I don't know how to be anything else. And truthfully, Aspen, there are times that I believe it's not entirely wrong, and that I believe you're wrong. And I'm not sure that's beneficial to you.
Well, that's the difference. I need to be wrong sometimes. And that's why I think you're such a value to all of this, to what we're trying to do here. You're right. I do think that it's old ways of thinking that got us here, and that things need to change. That doesn't mean that everything I believe is going to be the right way.
I know this may be a difficult idea to process, but you and my grandfather have a lot in common. He cared. Some would say too deeply. The nation as you know it now is changed because of him. While it retains a lot of the old beliefs, the way we view them, the way we understand them is different because of his leadership. For a while, it was glorious. A new dawn for the nation. Hope restored. But because of how much he cared, because he wanted to allow the nation to have choice. He had to watch them make the wrong choice over and over again, believing that the consequences might set things right. And it wore him down. It destroyed him. And he lost all of the hope he brought.
Let me ask you a question, Charles. Do you love Jester?
Of course I do.
And if Jester made a mistake, something that you would deem a terrible mistake, what would you do?
That's a bit vague of an idea.
It's called using your imagination, Charles.
I've watched Jester make many mistakes. She's harder on herself than the world is on her.
I agree. And you love her still, correct?
I love her because of it. In part. Because
Now
I
let's
know
say-
that she will weigh the consequences more severely than they should be sometimes, but she'll do the right thing anyway.
And let's say something terrible happens and Jester dies. For a moment.
At that notion, you hear a crack over by the coffee machine, and then the sound of broken glass being dropped into a trash can before a new cup is grabbed out of the cabinet.
She nods, and under her breath, she, almost as if she's talking to Jester, who's not there, and this is why we need more than one cup. If she did, would that mean that all of your love and affection for her was pointless, useless, not needed, a moot point?
No.
Caring for something isn't wrong. Caring for something so deeply that it hurts isn't a bad thing. Caring for others isn't a bad thing. And because it's changing you doesn't make it a bad thing.
I understand what you're saying. But we're not talking about me and Jester. We're talking about the future of Guru. And left to their own devices, the mistakes the Guru make can be dire for everything.
People are going to make mistakes. Bad things are going to happen. That is what this is. We can't avoid it. And things are going to continue to happen that are awful and terrible. And we can't fix everything by slapping a new sticker on it. I'm more than aware of that. But that doesn't stop us from trying to make it better and to do something better. And yeah, maybe I care a little bit too much, And maybe some people care not enough. And maybe if others cared as much as the ones who really care did, instead of being taught that logic and this is the way things are done and we continue to do it that way because that's what's comfortable, something could happen.
Allow me to turn the tables, if I might, just a little bit. If something happened to Arthur, could you keep doing this?
I would have to.
But would you?
When I say I would have to, it's not because I'm already here and I'm already doing it. I would have to, because then his death would just all be for nothing.
And if it was your decision that led to it?
Then that's something I would have to grapple with. I'm still a human.
Of course. So did the king. Time and time and time again. With the loss of the Stargazers and the cult of Fenris, once known as the Get, as more and more what he had built crumbled in front of him, became too much. What is too much for you, Aspen? Where is your breaking point?
I don't know. I've not been there. But just as you, I agree with you. It is too much for one person to bear. And that's why we have to start relying on others to carry the weight with us. And we could continue to shadow this as the nation in this debate of what the new nation needs to look like and what I need to do for it. But really, we're talking about you, Charles. You have to start relying on others and not just yourself. Because in the grand scheme of things, I think that's what's not working. You can't do this alone either.
I know that. But I've tried to rely on others. I've tried to trust others. To open myself up to others. And I've been burnt. And it's altered my ability to be tactical and effective. I lost control because I cared. Because I trusted.
You lost control because you've never allowed yourself to understand what losing control even feels like and how it could possibly happen. Because you've been so tight-knit in yourself, not letting others take care of you and see those sides of you, that you felt like you had to hold it in for so long that it came out and you didn't know what to do about it. There's a difference.
If it's supposed to be natural and understandable and acceptable, why am I being punished for it?
Because other people have feelings too. And other people have terrible things that have happened to them too that affect their emotions as well.
What if that's why we're losing?
Because people are human?
But we're not
Because
anymore.
we still are. It's still a part of us. And even wolves have feelings. Spirits have feelings. If we're losing because we have feelings, then what are we even doing here? If Gaia had no feelings, we wouldn't be fighting for her. If she couldn't feel pain, if she couldn't feel sadness, if she couldn't feel the weight of the responsibility of this world, we wouldn't be fighting. And nor would we want to, because we wouldn't have feelings to have the passion to do so. If that's why we're losing, there'd be nothing to lose. We wouldn't care. And she kind of looks down at the counter. I'm not saying this to convince you. It's almost like I have to say it to myself as well. Because I was there too. I didn't want to make friends with any of them. I didn't want to make connections and be passionate and care about this at all. I didn't. And you get around these people, they break you down. She smirks. And it's uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable to feel things you don't want to feel. But it's necessary.
I don't not feel. I lessen my vulnerabilities. Because Banes are enemies. The worm exploits vulnerabilities. And I think you know that firsthand.
I do.
If you're going to lead the new nation, all of it becomes your vulnerabilities.
Yeah.
You can see that he's conflicted, trying to decide whether he should say what's going through his mind at the moment or not.
She'll kind of pointedly look at him. Say what you feel.
How many more Aidens are you going to allow yourself? How many will it take to break you? He did what he was supposed to do, and by all nation standards, died a glorious death, one that should be revered and celebrated. But it almost destroyed you.
It did.
There are going to be many more before this is over. Many.
Aiden also almost destroyed me because I wasn't willing to let others be that close to me. And then when I started to, I lost him. But now, like I said, when you asked about Artie, I do it for him. I do it for all of them. And how many it'll take to break me, I have no idea. I don't. But I know that carrying them with you is part of it.
It is. I'm not upset with Jason because of how he reacted. I'm not even upset with Isidoro for hating me. But I don't regret what I did either. I don't regret leading Isidoro and our pack the way I did. I don't regret following orders.
Do you regret what you did to Jace?
Should I? If it's a natural part of what we are, it's supposed to be so openly expected and accepted, should I? Because yes, I do.
Those feelings aren't so black and white. Understanding from his side, knowing that that's natural and you didn't have control over it, is something that he needs to understand. But also knowing that you hurt somebody you really care about is something regrettable. It's not just this order of rules to follow. Feelings, I know you hate spirits, but that's probably why. They're wild, they're unpredictable, they don't make sense. They're not logical. You don't get to just put them in a category and say that's how that works.
But what if they're right? They were right about Aiden. If the spirits are right, then what I'm destined for is unavoidable. Even if I don't want it.
Spirits are good guides. They don't make definitive choices for us. They tell us about the fork in the road, and then they tell us to walk the path that we think is best. I think, unfortunately, as much as I hate to admit it, Aiden just walked the path he thought was best.
I don't want to hurt anyone I don't intend to.
It's unavoidable.
I'm learning that.
People make choices, and you may think it's the right one, or it may, in all perspectives, look just like the right one, but that doesn't mean that you're not going to hurt somebody along the way. You don't regret following orders with Izzy, and I don't think you should. I think you were doing what you were meant to do. But that doesn't mean Izzy is wrong for feeling hurt by not understanding why you chose your actions, by not being able to have those conversations and considerations. Doesn't mean you were wrong, but it doesn't mean he's wrong for feeling the way he does.
That's the struggle that I'm having, is the way he's feeling is making me feel away, and I don't like it.
It's the unfortunate part about feeling and having people upset with you.
And why do it?
People aren't meant to be alone. Wolves run in packs. So do people, really. They're not solitary. We're not solitary at all. Not in spirit, not in wolf, not in human. It breaks a person down. And if you can wear your armor. That's fine against the banes, against spirits. But armor's meant to be taken off. Because being vulnerable is part of this.
Why did you come here?
To check on you. Honestly, that's part of it. And to also talk to you about something I've learned recently.
I'm learning how to deal with these feelings that recent events are causing. It is difficult, but I am doing it. I apologized to Jason, and I accepted the repercussions of that apology with an oath.
What do you mean?
Jason asked me to swear a blood oath that I wouldn't allow harm to come to anyone in this sept. If I could avoid it. So if you're here to tell me that Volkov is in town, and I think we both know what he wants, what do I do? Because either way, someone's going to be harmed. And it will be by my actions, whether I stay or go.
Again, I think it's more nuanced than that. But my question, what do you want to do, Charles?
Suppose it depends in the moment. Because it's changing.
What do you mean?
Well, part of me believes that the best thing I can do to avoid harming others is leave. But then there's the emotions of it all that I've allowed myself to become vulnerable to. But at least, if I go, you won't have the old nation coming in here trying to tell you how to do things. At least if I go, maybe I can manipulate the direction of things from within so that they'll leave you alone and let you do what you need to do. Maybe I can institute change.
I'm
A
gonna.
part of me wants to go tell the old man to fuck himself. And that I don't care about destiny or fate, and that I don't believe in what they've been trying to make me believe my entire life.
With the oath to Jason, we'll talk about my ideas for oaths later. That's an impossible oath to keep, especially in this scenario. It's an impossible oath because you stay, but there's potential for people to get hurt. There's no tangible truth to it, but as far as possibilities go, it is high up there that people could get hurt. But you leave, I know for a fact Jester's gonna be hurt more than anything. So again, an impossible oath to keep. So again, what do you want to do?
I want your vision to continue. I want to avoid a Guru civil war. I want to be with Jester. All of these wants have weakened me because it wasn't about want for most of my life.
It should be. And to the points of all of your wants, what I want is for all of us to be able to live, not just survive, to thrive, to have the things that they want, while also fighting for something bigger than all of us. So you want me to continue doing what I'm doing here? Then I want you to have what you want. And if that means going to the biggest authority we have in this guru life and telling them to eat shit, you do that. And I support it.
It's only going to bring more hardship to you and to Jester, and it's going to only risk or increase the risk of danger. We have enough danger to deal with here.
But if we don't stand for what we believe in, then again, it's not worth it. There's no point to fighting, to doing all of this, if we don't stand for what we believe in, regardless of tooth and claw or enemies knocking at our door. That happens anyways.
Sometimes, Aspen, someone has to not get what they want to ensure others do.
That's true.
I would rather it were me.
Well, you're not leader here, are you? That's my responsibility. That's my job. And that's okay. And as much as I want you to tell me when I'm wrong, Charles, you're wrong. You're allowed to be happy and get the things you want.
Some things are impossible to have.
Doesn't stop us from trying. We're Guru. We're fighting a failing battle. It's in our nature.
What if what you've always secretly wanted isn't to be Guru?
To not want to be this?
I never got to be a human, Aspen. Not once. Not until I came here.
We're not as different as you think, Charles. Childhood's aside, I understand you went through a lot. And I got to be human and you didn't. I don't want to be this either. And yeah, that's not a choice that we get to make for ourselves, but we get to keep what makes us human and hold on to it the best we can. And that's what I'm doing. And that's what you get the opportunity to be your human side if you want. And of course, it's not going to be exactly being human, but you get to try to live that life that you didn't get to have the things that you want and not just the things that were told to you that you needed.
I also want to uphold my oaths. I want my word to mean something, my blood to mean something.
Well, I'm sorry to tell you, but you're going to break one either way. So I guess we'll just be two oath breakers.
That's easier said than done.
Maybe. I know it's a lot bigger than just breaking an oath.
I knew when I took my oath to Jason that some things were out of my control, out of my power. If I were to live by the letter of the oath, I would never have allowed Forged and Juniper to head to Michigan. I know it's impossible to avoid those in this life from being physically harmed. This is much bigger than that. So much bigger than that. It's inviting harm. Volkov is the only one who's ever beaten me.
Volkov beat you when you were alone. Solitary thing with no one else. Only themselves to help. You're not that anymore.
Recent actions make me feel otherwise, but
Jace will come around. And I think Izzy will learn that his pride is standing in the way of some of his issues with you.
so what do you want to do?
Are you asking me as a friend? Because if you're asking me as a leader, I'm not going to tell you because you've told me before that you'll listen to anything I say.
just, you see his composure just start to fracture as if he's becoming a child before your very eyes that's pouting. I could do so much good. I could send resources, all the things that Isidoro didn't get from them, I would have the power to give.
No, Charles, is that what you want?
Don't know.
You do understand doing that. You would not have Jester. You would not have the rest of us anymore, which is fine. I'm not using that as a bargaining chip to sway you one way or another. You could do a lot of good. I understand that. I can't argue that point. But you specifically would be losing a lot. Is that what you want?
I don't think even you could stop Jester from following me if I went.
No, that's also in the back of my head, but yes, but what do you want, Charles?
I want to convince them that they're wrong and that they need to change. I want to show them what you're doing here. I want them to see that it's better than anything they've done in a long time.
Aspen will get super vulnerable, and she'll put her hand out to touch Charles's hand. Then we'll do that together.
Okay. We'll try.
That's all we can do.
Stood behind the old nation because it was what I was taught my entire life, but you've given me something to believe in, even though I made it as difficult for you as possible.
Well, keep doing that because I need it.
Practice taking things less personally for your own sake. There is going to be a lot of tragedy on our road to victory. Use my grandfather as a warning. Because no pressure, Aspen, I'm not sure this would survive without you. Not right now.
And if I start veering in a direction that you see as cyclical,
I still have the chloroform.
I was going to say, please don't kidnap me. Just tell me, we can have conversations, but let me know. And if I'm really not listening, then the chloroform may be necessary.
All right. Jester's very hesitant about this trip to the dreaming. But I think she needs to go. Much as I don't
think so.
want her to.
I think she'll be upset if she misses it.
In the long term, most likely.
Right.
Now the difficult call. This is really what I don't want. I think I need to stay here. Strategically, we have new arrivals. Sept. We're missing an Arun and a Ragabash from the other pack. And we have the Cult of Fenris knocking on our back door. quite literally.
I think it's smart to have you stay. I promise I won't fight any dragons without you.
Don't make promises you can't keep.
It's true, I am an oathbreaker. Just comes with the territory, I guess. But we have other allies here, too. If you need help. We have Matthias and Anna. Which, speaking of Matthias, he wants you to give him a call. He says you haven't been reaching out lately.
Charles furrows his brow and reaches into his slacks pocket and pulls out his phone. Why hasn't he called?
He says he's tried to reach out to you.
Haven't changed my phone number. And believe me, my bills are paid.
Wouldn't doubt it. Weird.
I will stop by and see him. But he hasn't reached out. I just assume he's been doing what he does.
He was a little weird the last time I saw him, but I don't know, maybe it'd be good if we both continue to check in on him.
I agree. Just come back safely.
We will.
And I don't know what you're walking into, and that bothers me. So be careful. Be on guard. There's very little strategic advice I can give you other than to expect the unexpected. And don't be afraid to run.
I think Jester's learned a lot from you. She's got a strategic mind like yours as well.
She also has the fear in her now.
Because of Piney Point.
Yes. May do a good job keeping it under wraps out there, but in here, less so.
I get it.
I'm sorry of the trouble this is causing you. For whatever that's worth.
I appreciate it, but I don't need an apology. I'm here for you.
You deserve one, regardless. He looks almost like a child looking for a safety blanket over towards a rag and cleaning solution on the counter, and he grabs both and then opens up the cabinet beneath the sink and puts them away.
You want to go for a walk? Get out of the house?
Does smell too clean in here.
A little bit, yeah.
As he grabs his coat off the back of the chair and slides into it, leading you to the door and opening it. What's going through your mind after this encounter with Charles?
I think there was a lot of firsts here. Really understanding Charles and his perspectives and his feelings, which he doesn't talk about often. probably wasn't easy, and she's thankful that she was able to see that side of him. But also, putting all of that pressure on Charles is unfair. So she's going to be very mindful to make sure that the burden is shared in this new endeavor and that he doesn't feel alone moving through it. And whatever comes, it's because they together know that what they're fighting for is what needs to be fought for.
And what does Aspen want? Talked a lot about what Charles wanted. Didn't really delve into her own personal stuff other than to do what she does best and deflect. What does Aspen want after this conversation?
It's a bit strange because she did deflect to have this conversation with Charles, but it did end up bringing up what she really does want, and that's to make sure the people around her, the people she cares about, thrive and are happy. So she got to do that with Charles.
A wonderful motivation, but it may be a lot more difficult to keep up than it seems. Because while some people want to save the world, others want to see it burn. And some of them may be closer to home than you realize. We now go to break. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the second half of tonight's story. St. Petersburg by Night is brought to you through collaboration with our partnered vendors, Chromatic Creations, Panchi Artista, Ember Fox Dice, Champs Tramps, and Howl and Hop Tea. Links to our partnered vendors, as well as our Twitch and YouTube channels, can be found on our website, stpetebynight.com. You can follow St. Pete by Night on all socials with the hashtag St. Pete by Night. If you wish to support our programs, you can do so at ko-fi.com/St. Pete by Night to help keep the stories rolling. Welcome back. As we return, we find ourselves at the law office of Pelfrey and Weiss. But we're not here to see Aspen Weiss as we often are in these situations. No. Jester, you have come here to see Anna Pelfrey, also known as Eyes of the Sea. He's a lawyer, sure, but first and foremost, she's a Galliard. And, well, you haven't had a lot of connection with the Galliards in the Sept. In fact, for a long time, you were basically the only one. So now is a time to connect. What is it that brings you here? And what are you hoping to accomplish?
Anna and I have gotten together a few times to share and swap stories like Galliards usually do. But with everything that happened with the plants and Piney Point, we kind of lost track of that. So I'm hoping to get back together and start our little Galliard powwow, our little Galliard like story swaps that we used to do. Also, really to get some stories that may be pertinent to things that are still going on.
All right. So as you arrive, heading up to the second floor, to head to the office that belongs to Anna Pelfrey. You reach the corner office with the heavy wooden door, passing by all the cubicles of the associates that help make this law firm what it is. You knock on the door, and there she is as she opens the door, her lightly graying hair The wrinkles starting to form more and more at the corners of her eyes and mouth. Her hair done up into a bun and wearing a business casual dress suit. Malicious Jester, good to see you. Come on in.
She'll step in. It's good to see you too.
I have to ask, she says as she closes the door and starts to walk over to the chairs that the two of you usually take in these story sessions, both on the same side of the desk. She stops by a kettle and pours a couple of cups of tea. Where did the malicious come from? You have a keen wit and a clever sense of humor, but I don't view you as spiteful or violent.
Back in my old sept, the sept of the broken. We went against a lot of companies that employed fracking, oil fracking, and I was part of an activist group, and I was kind of the face, so I tended to say very real truth in a very mean way to them. So I guess you could say the malicious part is two people I consider my enemies.
I see. It was just a curiosity of mine. Sit down.
I'll head and sit down. I was also, funnily enough, probably a lot angrier back then than I am now, but, you know, it's growth, I suppose.
It's unavoidable, for better or worse. Growth, especially in the experiences in life that we lead.
Yeah, I kind of learned you grow or you die.
She gets a very curious and contemplative look on her face. Maybe it's time for a change. But enough of that. What brings you here other than our typical stories? It's been a while.
It has. A lot has happened. I'm pretty sure Aspen told you about the weird plant thing we had.
Tiny point, yes.
Yeah, so I was extremely busy, as in didn't have much time to do anything else. But figured, things have calmed down now and we could get back together and I could catch you up on what happened, and I have a few things I wanted to ask you about.
Of course. How are you feeling after all of that? I know that you had a very unique experience.
For somebody who stays out of the, Garu politics, you're still, kept up with things.
Don't know if you noticed that there were 2 names on the building.
I do. I'll have a little talk with her after that. I am working through some emotions about what happened to me. It's kind of a struggle, but I think I've made some headway in it.
Good. These things take time. Now, that's not meant to be used as a crutch or an excuse. This is a tale of victory and triumph, Jester, not a tale of tragedy or a scary story.
I know. Honestly, at this point, it's probably why I haven't been able to tell the whole story, because it is supposed to be a tale of victory. But for me, it was horrifying, and I'm trying to separate myself from that. And it's hard.
Can I offer you a reframe on the story?
I would love that.
You focus primarily on your perspective of everything that happened, which as storytellers makes sense. We can only recount our events or the events of others as they're passed on to us. But we have a lot more power as the storyteller than we are often given credit for. The Silver Record, for example, is written by generations and generations of storytellers. And it can be adjusted or augmented at times to whatever the particular storyteller's message is, or whatever point they're trying to bring across. Perhaps the point of this story isn't as much the victory as it is the love your pack has for you. The care and concern and willingness to do whatever it took to make sure that you survived the encounter. Far too often in Guru culture is sacrifice the focus. Sacrificing yourself as the Arun to make sure the others get out. Sacrificing yourself as the Theurge to stop some greater evil from emerging.
Sacrificing yourself as an entire tribe to make sure an evil is sealed.
Yes, that story is starting to reemerge, isn't it?
We're actually going to find him soon, or try to. That'll be a tale I'll have to tell you later.
I look forward to hearing it. You can reframe the story. You don't have to relive the pain of it, the tragedy of it, strife of it. Put yourself in another's shoes. They see one that they care about suffering so greatly. And rather than sitting there and watching them suffer or dwelling on the bad feelings they get, the guilt they feel or the fear they feel, they spring into action. It is a tale of the bond you all share. And the willingness to go up against nature itself, augmented and corrupted nature, but nature nonetheless. And that the focus wasn't the destruction of an evil in that moment. The focus was the saving of a friend, a packmate, family member. That's the story as I see it. Yes, evil was defeated. The Guru won the day. There's plenty of stories like that. If that's the message, it gets old after enough tales. You could see Saving Private Ryan 13 times in a row, and if all you take about it is they won World War II, it's a boring movie.
I see what you mean. Thanks. That helps.
It's easy to get stuck in our own heads. This is a lot, all of it. One of the reasons I stepped away from politics when it comes to Guru, I wasn't in my own head enough. There's a balance, a delicate one. And yes, it's easy to get swept up one way or another, but you can always come back to the center. You don't punish yourself for being in your own head. You don't punish yourself for being out. You just make the necessary moves to get back to where you want to be, even if it's reframing a story. Yes, you should work through your own personal feelings on the matter, but you needn't dwell, because the story keeps going. It moves forward. New stories are happening every single day. Don't get your fingers stuck on a particular chapter.
That makes sense. That, yeah, that helps a lot. Though now you've given me another question or stories I need to get from you, such as, your side of things on how the nation politics went. Could be very useful to us.
I'm happy to share. I think you'll notice there's a reason that I'm staying in town more often and returning less to Deceptive Jupiter. Even though it's my home and I care deeply for it, there's a change coming. And as a storyteller, I can't help but be on the forefront of that change. If it's only to document the events that occur.
What do you think the old nation's biggest problem was?
I already said it. A belief that sacrifice is the way. That all of this that we're doing, the sacrifice of our lives to serve Gaia, is what we're meant to do. Yes, it's true, we're meant to fight. And yes, some of us will die and some of us will sacrifice. And while those sacrifices should be honored and remembered, it shouldn't be the basis of the story. It shouldn't be the basis of the decisions we make. It shouldn't be something that we take for granted and easily disregard. Yes, we'll say we'll tell the stories and we'll honor them, but we also support the idea of it. And we tell it as if it's something to aspire to rather than something to learn from. Guru don't have to die to serve Gaia. Will they? Yes, some will. Because the world is an unpredictable and chaotic place, and the dangers are mounting more and more as the days go by. But the goal should be to live, not to die.
I've been thinking about that for a while. Feels like the whole focus on us sacrificing ourselves to save Gaia kind of just feeds the worm more, since it is death.
In a way, yes. But death is also unavoidable. So if you're going to die, die for something you believe in.
I know, but is it all necessary? Or could there have been other ways?
She gets a far-off look as if recalling her own experience. It's easy to say in hindsight that yes, there were other options and other possibilities. And even more difficult than that is to believe that they did the best they could with the information they had at the time. What they did, they thought was right and was the only way.
But we can use that hindsight that you say it's easy to say to not make the same mistakes in the future.
But that's also the difficult line you walk as a storyteller. At what point in the minds of the audience are you dishonoring those that made the sacrifice? At what point are you disregarding and casting them aside by saying they did it wrong? And I'm not saying that's how you'd put it. You are much more artful and verbose than that. But you must constantly be in the place of trying to get a point across, but also being aware of what point they could be taking from that tale.
Know your audience.
Well, your audience.
What do you think we should take away from Tales of the War of Rage?
Not everything is a threat. Too often do the Guru believe that anything that's different or dangerous is a threat. and also that we aren't superior. As much as the Silver Fangs and the elders believe that we are, or did, if we wish to be truly superior, we should raise others up, not tear them down. Then we're all superior together. And that can become the new normal.
I like that.
It's not about bettering ourselves. It's not even about bettering Gaia specifically, even though that's what brought us to this. It's bettering everything. Cleansing the world of corruption, teaching people a way of life that contributes, not always about taking or what's yours.
I don't know a lot of the stories, only what I've been managed to get from Aspen and Charles and, well, a couple of the others changing breeds that are around here, though She Who Shines is not yet willing to share a lot of her stuff with me. We're working on it. But feels like to me, Gaia chose all of them to have certain things, certain parts in the story, you could say, like each of the auspices. And our mistakes aside, might be good to figure out what those are so we can try to redirect the course, I guess, to how it had been intended.
I think it's also easy to pass credit on to Gaia when there are other forces at play. Luna.
Yeah.
The sun. Spirits. Did they all come from Gaia? Yes, but are they Gaia herself? Not always.
True. True.
I think the best way to reach them isn't to find the common ground. It's to explore what makes you different. What do they believe? Do they even believe in Gaia? Not all of them do. What do they attribute their strength and power to? What is it that they serve? The elders, the ancient generations, the ancestors, they didn't explore that, because if it was anything other than Gaia, it was bad. And if it was Gaia, they weren't doing a good enough job.
That doesn't... It's only one part of the story, though, isn't it?
Stories have many parts, just as we have many bones in our bodies.
I'll keep working on She Who Shines. Try to get her perspectives.
I believe in my core that everyone has a story to tell. And they want to tell it. But if they've been told time and time again that they shouldn't, if they've been told that they should be embarrassed by the stories they tell, or if they've simply been secluded, then it's going to be more difficult. But I believe they want to tell it. You just have to break through all of those barriers and walls of fear, regret, even valid lessons they've been taught, like not to trust Guru, that Guru are here to kill you or subjugate you. It's a lot of work. But if you show genuine care and interest in the things that they have to say, eventually that doubt, that cynicism will fade.
Okay. So do what I do for a lot of the SEP members.
This comes back to the belief that maybe it's time for a change. Because when you introduce yourself with malice, even if it's just a token name given to you for deeds long past, that's what they're going to expect.
Yeah. Quite honestly, and the malice part has been less and less and really reserved for particular individuals at this point. I'm leaning more towards what you've been talking about. Instead of starting with malice, try to start with understanding and how to help the pain they're in.
Yes. They don't know it's not for them. Some believe, just because they're Guru or they're afraid of the contrary being true. But they don't know for sure whether you're going to bring malice or joy or caring, compassion, understanding. Our deeds, while there's a place for them, our deed names really are limited to a singular focus or event often. Now mine, Eyes of the Sea, for example, is valid. I spent a great many days at the shores of Lake Michigan, watching the waves roll in. But also I was always looking for the storms on the horizon, like here. The hurricanes don't come from the land. They come from the sea. And if you're not looking, they'll surprise you.
Yeah. I mean, luckily in this day and age where we have pretty good technology to figure that out. But yes, we still need to watch. We still need watchers.
Don't forget, technology are spirits, and spirits can be manipulated. Especially if there's malicious intent. Now, some of the younger Guru don't quite understand deed names as well as they used to. They might just think I like boats a lot. But that's how we inform them, is our stories. And it's a sacred and honorable responsibility. But it also can be manipulated and has been. There's a story that when apocalypse came, yes, this story refers to the apocalypse in the past as if it's already past, that King Albrecht marched an army of Guru onto a battlefield, and the Messiah of the Worm, Jace, rode into battle on a great green serpent. You can see how that might have been slightly exaggerated. And if apocalypse had passed, what are we doing?
That's a good question. A Messiah of the Worm, though? Like, it has a Messiah?
Embellishments, I'm sure.
Okay.
You need the drama and the theater of the story, or else it's just a battle report.
You need the big bad for the hero to overcome.
Correct.
Have you ever heard stories of us defying destinies that were given to us?
That's the interesting thing about destiny, isn't it? Sometimes hearing that we have a destiny, being told what our destiny is actually to help fulfill that destiny by going against it. That the destiny they were told wasn't the destiny it was itself. Someone was playing a role to fulfill the true destiny. Or it's fulfilled in a way they didn't expect. Like the path had been laid out before them, but they got there by going away from the path. But they still ended up where they needed to be.
Like an inevitability?
You might think that. But I truly believe there are only a few things that are inevitable in this existence. One's the change. If you're meant to be Guru, you're going to be Guru. And the inevitability of time.
And death. I mean,
Well, I was
Oh,
trying to
God.
keep things light and positive here as much as possible, but yes, death.
Sorry, I'm a little bit of a realist, so I
Well,
accept
that's what
it.
I meant by time. Why do you ask?
I have talked to someone who was given a destiny they don't want.
See. Well, is it possible to defy destiny, I suppose? There are the factors that you can't count for, like early death, or, well, losing the wolf, falling to Hirano. These are things that aren't necessarily factored into matters of destiny and can be brought about at any time. So have there been stories of destiny being avoided? Not necessarily, because that's not necessarily the best story either. Those tend to be forgotten, swept under the rug, because it seems like a story of failure. Not living up to your potential or fulfilling your purpose.
Okay.
I am sure many have fallen short of whatever their destiny was or escaped it somehow. But as for actual tales of it, no.
Okay. Interesting.
Your destiny is to sacrifice yourself to save others, and you don't go through with it and the others die. Is that a story you really want told?
It's fair. Which makes me feel like defying the destiny could have worse outcomes. As in, maybe the destiny that Spirit has given would be something that would lead to the best outcome, and the consequences of defying it might be worse.
Could. Don't believe in absolutes, Jester.
I don't. I mean, Spirit's giving out prophecies and stuff are vague as shit anyway, so sorry.
By design, they can't be wrong if they're vague.
Right. Even visions I hear from some of our theurges are vague. So I can't have an absolute when it's too vague.
So does defying destiny always end in tragedy or something worse happening? Who knows? Maybe someone had a happily ever after when they avoided their sacrifice. I doubt it. That guilt tends to weigh on someone when they felt like they could have done something and didn't. But in reality, a destiny is a perspective on our potential. And often it's a course that's already been laid out by our actions and our choices, and just predicting the outcome of those actions and choices.
Okay. So what if someone starts making different choices
Well,
after they...
that's where it gets tricky. Because maybe, again, as I said at the first part, maybe that was by design. Maybe that is helping them fulfill their destiny by rebelling against it. But then a time will come where they make the choice, and destiny is fulfilled.
Feels like all this is just to be saying, does it destiny or not? Just try to live the life that make your choices the best you can for yourself.
Your experience is your own. Spirits would tell you otherwise. The change would tell you otherwise. Things are going to happen to you all throughout your life. How you react to them, how you respond to them, that's yours and yours alone. Let's set aside the manipulation of Banes and certain gifts and the like for a moment, but in reality, your decisions are your own. How you react to tragedy or triumph, you are in control of that. Spirits are always watching those choices, learning who you are as an individual, and then predicting where you'll go. And secretly, I think some of them have a bet or a pool going. And one tries to put a thumb on the scale by going and telling that person what their destiny is.
I could imagine that.
They aren't that different than we are.
Actually reminds me of that Bible story of Job. The bet God and the devil made.
Yes. This specific individual, I take it you're close to them?
Yeah.
And you fear for them?
I wouldn't say, I mean, I guess, but it's not, I care for them.
But you fear this destiny for them.
I suppose.
Or you fear what this destiny means should it come true.
I would leave more for fearing for them and what it would do to them.
A destiny isn't the end of the story. It may be the end of a chapter. And for some, yes, it is the end of the story, but not always. Usually it's like a checkpoint. Don't try and predict what comes after, how it's going to go. You can only go off of the information you have. After that, you're projecting your own fears and insecurities on what it means. You're trying to interpret it, and trying to interpret spirits is not our job.
Fair. Nope, it's not. The best I can go off of is they have something that they are a thought or representative of, and if you can understand that a little bit, you can understand on how to deal with them or interact with them. But beyond that, no, I don't really try to interpret everything about them. They're kind of confusing sometimes.
People are confusing too.
They
The
are.
Rue are confusing.
Wolves
You
are
had all that
confusing.
testosterone into a being, they're going to be all over the place.
Yeah.
We tell the tale. We share the lesson. We keep the stories alive as new ones are being created. And we learn as best as we can. And we honor as best as we can. Because without Galliards, without archivists, without historians, it's all forgotten. And forgotten is worse than death. Because then none of it meant anything. And honestly, with the ancestors specifically, it kind of keeps a piece of them alive. It allows them to return and to grace us with wisdom or strength when we need it most. Without the story, they cease to exist.
I've looked at it as without the stories, yeah, they would cease to exist. Like, they allow us to have at least a understood sort of life beyond death. We don't know really what happens to us when we die. I've heard a bunch of different opinions, but at least with the stories, the ancestors that I pretty much hear whispers in my head all the time of get to continue.
Yes. And while it's easy to view such stories with mourning, especially for those that have passed on or sacrificed or just simply moved to the other side, death doesn't have to be mourned. It can be celebrated for a life well lived, because life is hard enough as it is. And really, with that celebration, or even with the mourning, they don't truly die. They live on in us. And in those that cared about them and listened to the stories, even those who never knew them, but hear of the great things they did. And to be honest, not all of them deserve it. Some are very overhyped. But that's not our
Probably.
job either.
Right.
Don't fear the idea of destiny, especially if it's not yours. Continue to be here, be present. Take the lessons from the past and let it work itself out with support and care and concern at times, certainly. but avoiding it altogether, you're handicapping yourself. You're potentially altering who you are inside, because that's what the destiny is based off of. It's based off of the renown you carry, the actions you've taken, what you believe. And spiting that just because it's scary, or just because it's not what you foresaw for yourself in the moment, that's a disservice to your truth. And some spirits want that. Those aren't the ones we enjoy much.
Mm-hmm. And I guess if someone changes, not because they're trying to defy their destiny, but just because they change over the course, that's probably a part of that destiny too.
Most likely. There are certain guru who've learned how to receive premonitions from the spirits. Similar to a story of destiny, it's a future that's laid out in front of them. But why they keep it vague is they don't truly know. Who could? People are unpredictable. Spirits are unpredictable. The world is unpredictable. But if you observe long enough, if you study human behavior, individuals' behavior, you can get a pretty good guess, but it's still always going to be just a guess.
Right.
And then there's also the personal manipulation of it all. What do they want to see happen?
Right. Because spirits still have ambitions.
They very much do. The weaver, the wild, the worm, they all must work in harmony, but they all are individuals.
It's kind of one of the things that makes us similar to them.
Yes. You spoke of the Bible, and the Bible shows an omnipotent God in many forms, but even that God made mistakes.
Don't let the Christians hear you say that.
I'm a guru, let them come for me. Except the really strong ones, but that's neither here nor there. No one knows everything, and if they do, they're beyond this. They're bored of this.
We would never meet them.
No. We rewatch movies because we like the story. We retell tales because we love the tale. And every time we do it, we're looking for something new to take away from it. We might focus on another actor's performance. We might try to embellish the words a little bit more to make it sound better than the way we heard it. We're always trying to find something more from it. It doesn't take the nostalgia away. It doesn't take the original enjoyment, but that fades the more and more you do it. So you need to search for another meaning, another bit of enjoyment, another hit of dopamine.
Right.
Spirits are no different. Maybe they don't have the chemicals, but they have the motivations. Even the machine spirits, the most straightforward spirits of us all, are there for when it breaks, not for when it works.
Yeah, I could see that. Thanks,
Now,
Anna.
of course. Now, enough of the philosophy. Let's get into the art of it all and let's share some stories. I actually have been inspired by our talks, and she moves over, standing up from the table, and moves over to one of her big bookcases full of all the law volumes. And she pulls several of them out and sets them off to the side on the table. And behind it, leaned up against the back of the bookshelf, is another book. More like a journal. She reaches back and takes it and then replaces the books where they were. She comes over and holds out the journal to you. It's not complete because I want you to keep seeing me, but there are a few of the stories I've told and some that I haven't.
Oh. They'll take the journal and just like look down at it, kind of like rubbing my hand over the cover. Like, oh, thank you. This is. Thanks.
I always believed storytelling was an oral tradition because that's what I was taught. But the truth of the matter is, if we want to keep them alive, we have to find other ways.
I've been thinking and trying to do the same thing. Honestly, I do more videos, so it's kind of still oral, but it's still like people can see it and watch it when they need to. So if something does happen, everything won't be lost.
Well, you have the face for video. Not all of us have that advantage.
Fair. I'd love to show you some though, if you got some time still.
Of course. I do have a meeting in a few hours, but until then, I'm at your disposal.
I will sit down with her and pull out my little folder of phone videos and start showing her some and be like, oh, this one. This is one how I freed White Bat from the cave she was trapped in.
As you share stories and enjoy your time together, how does Jester feel after this encounter?
Jester feels lighter. She doesn't talk about it really, but it does feel like it's felt like a huge weight being the only Galliard for so long in the pack and the Sept. And I know the Hellhounds have a new one, but she's so young. I don't even know if she understands what it means to be a Galliard. But talking with Anna, she feels this relief and a bit of nostalgia for Gibbous because she's not had another Galliard, an older Galliard to go to and get advice and talk about things like this much. And so it's helped relieve a little heaviness that she carries with her all the time.
Stories keep us alive, even after death. What story do we choose to write for ourselves? And beyond that, what stories will others tell? Because just as much as our actions tell a story, just as much as our connections tell a story, so too do our dreams. And not all of those stories end in victory or success. We now transition to our next scene. Isidoro Darris, your journey to Tampa and your time in the city has told quite a story of its own. You came in with the belief that an abrupt end was waiting for you, a glorious and victorious death for the nation, but really for yourself. But since then, you've found reasons to live. You changed the narrative. You now have employment. You have friends, both human and guru. You've met with others of your tribe, and you've even started to have a relationship with Unicorn, your patron, one that you'd, for the most part, avoided most of your guru existence. But there's a certain chapter of the story that remains unfinished. And now, with this knowledge that you're about to head into a place of the unknown, of danger, maybe it's a good idea to finish the story. But that would require bravery, true bravery, and courage. Not the foolish bravery of running in and throwing yourself at a brick wall enough times until either you or the wall break. It's usually you. Is this that time? Or does the story continue with the chapter unfinished? You've come to the cairn early on the day of the rite, where the staff will be broken, where Eshu will be freed, and perhaps the gates to the dreaming will be opened. Now you know you are a capable combatant, but you have the humility to know you're not the best. And now you have the added pressure of, if you go into the dreaming, you may be the only thing that keeps this sept, this pack, alive. It's the constant burden of being in a room. So under the guise of looking for advice, you approach Charles Albrecht, knowing that he is not going into the dreaming with you, that he is going to be the only thing standing between this sept on this side and utter destruction for the time that you're gone, or chaos even. What is Izzy thinking as he sees Charles Albrecht waiting at the hand-carved table for his arrival?
I think as Izzy enters into the heart of the cairn, he sees Charles, hopes that he is not immediately detected as he just takes the moment to stare. And as he does, trickles of memory begin to flood his vision, not only of the time alone between arriving here and the dissolution of the Piercing Moonrise pack, but also of the pack itself, with and without Charles. And as the darker impulses come in, he almost tries to part that curtain, reminding himself that things have changed.
So normally I say walking into a scene, especially when things have been calm, there hasn't been a lot of stress or conflict, they start at a rage 1. But for you, I'd like you to roll a composure and resolve check to see if it's going to be a little bit higher.
Assuming rage 1 for this roll, though, right?
Yes, for this roll, yes.
That is a 2 successes.
Okay. So as those memories hit, as much as you want to keep them at bay, keep them aside, keep them from bleeding in, so long have you sat in them that they just know how to access you, know how to get to you. So you will be in this scene at a rage 3.
Having done all the staring he can muster for the moment, that Alrune impulse to, come on, let's get this over, sort of bangs at the back of Izzy's head as he rubs a hand across his face, tries to laxen up, and as he approaches the table, he goes, Wormfoe?
Isidoro?
I was hoping to catch you. Is now a good time to talk? And with that, he will look around to what I assume is basically nothing going on at the
Pretty
moment.
much. You know, Eliza's milling around somewhere with Terrence and with Willow, and that there's activity in the cairn, but you have a pretty good space. You've projected an aura which gives you room for this conversation. And Charles just always has that aura on. He's often very unapproachable. Well, I'm here. What would you like to say?
I would like to talk business. Obviously, with the rite, whatever it happens to entail, about to be unleashed, I was hoping to consult your expertise as Wormfoe of the Sept.
Well, strategically, I would say the best course of action is to bring iron. But after consulting with Eliza, I was told that iron would guarantee failure and perhaps even being trapped in the dreaming.
I see.
After talking with Jace about his previous experience, Jason, about his previous experience in the dreaming, he spoke of a silver path, a road created by this entity known as Eshu for travelers, and that to stray from the road is peril. It is easy to get lost in the woods, and that the woods themselves may change and are attempting to lure you in.
Interesting. I guess my first main question, how literal is this silver path?
From the way Jason relayed it, literal. It is
Good
a
to
road.
know.
The downside is the road is well trafficked by those within the dreaming, that the other beings that dwell there use it to get from destination to destination, from stronghold to stronghold. So you have to be wary on the road and be prepared for any encounters that you may face. Now, having dealt with a Fey being recently, you can see that he is reliving the moment in his head. If you are not strong enough, they can capture you. They can paralyze you.
Like one of the leeches?
More physical, surprisingly. This one grew a vine out of the ground that was so tough it might as well have been made of silver or iron itself. Even I couldn't break it.
Diplomacy first, then.
Or avoidance. And I would lean
Avoidance.
towards the latter, because this is not our territory. This is not the Umbra.
My only fear is that if this silver road is the only thing we're going on, how big is this road? Not exactly much room to plan a path around, right?
Well, from what I was told, there are many junctions and places where the road splits. If you needed to, you could double back and go down a separate path until the threat has passed, and then resume the journey on the road.
It's good to know. Of the main pack, who is set to be lead?
Well, Aspen is going, and Aspen is always lead. But Jason's knowledge and experience within the dreaming provides him an opportunity to be a good guide. We also are unaware of what role Eshu will take in all of this. And as much as I frown upon taking the word of a trickster god, let alone a version of a spirit, there could be some wisdom to be gleaned there, but with a discerning eye.
So, main pack, Aspen, Jester, Jason, Eshu, who I've only had secondhand information with, myself, and you'll be maintaining the cairn sanctity while we're gone. Yeah?
I will.
Good.
I believe Eliza is also going to join you on this journey, provide what insight she has as well. Isidoro, I wouldn't normally trust anyone with this task, but I know you're capable, and I know you'll do whatever it takes to get the job done.
At that, Izzy diverts his gaze, looking off past the, central barrier that marks the heart of the cairn, if only not to look at Charles as he says that. And he goes, I'm glad you're putting such faith in me. After all, the Wormfoe's word matters a lot here.
The faith was never the problem. That was earned.
Well, I need now, with your permission, for you to tell me as much as you can about each of the packmates you've so tenderly kept safe over the tenure here. How do they fight? Do they fight well?
Yes.
What pack tactics have you gone over with them?
Are
there any call signs I should know about? All the normal stuff.
They're very capable fighters. Jester is good with a clave. She wields it well. She has learned the art very quickly with no teachers to give it to her.
Impressive. And with that, Izzy will point to the clave hanging over the cairn. And he goes, that one?
That is Aspen's. Although she prefers not to wield it. She is not skilled in the arts of melee. But she has proven herself to be surprisingly well suited in her war form. She is also a good choice for any diplomatic encounters that you have. And she has an ability to bolster others in times of need. She's also likely the only healer you have.
That is good to know.
Jace also can heal, apparently, as I'm learning in this exact moment. You have 2 healers with you, but Jace needs to fight at range. Jason needs to fight at range.
Izzy will try to stifle the innate chuckle of just the mix-up as he returns to this sort of like solemn, we're discussing business mode.
I know his guns won't work there, so I would suggest giving him a sling or rocks or something that can be used in that manner. But if necessary, he can be pushed to his war form as well. And I believe that the gifts of the war form will be enough for him to at least defend effectively, if nothing else. But your front line will be yourself and Jester. Your support will be Aspen, who can move up to the front line if necessary. And then Jace will take up the rear. Jason will take up the rear with Eliza, who I also remembered can also heal. So you have 3 healers. You're in good company.
You are slipping.
I've been very distracted as of late.
Not that I care, but with what?
He takes a moment to decide how much to reveal, and then remembering Aspen's words, he says, Volkov is here.
Volkov was
my mentor.
There is just the longest stare from Izzy, who doesn't know whether to console him or taunt him. And as the memories flare up, both recent and past, he bites into his lip as he goes, I'm sorry to hear that.
Well, he wants me to return with him. And I am, first time ever, wanting to refuse orders. But I also believe that that could bring a great deal of harm to the Sept and the nation that is trying to be built here. And so I find myself conflicted.
Oh, yeah?
Yes. I don't want to repeat the mistake I made with you, Isidoro.
It's very noble. Very wise.
It's not about nobility. I care about these people. I cared about all of you. I just didn't know how to show it. I thought keeping you safe and doing my job was the way I showed care. And I'm learning more and more. That's only part of it.
Better late than never, I guess. I just wish, well, I wish I was clear-headed enough right now to tell you exactly what to do.
I'm grateful for that. Even just the idea of it, I appreciate. But the reality is, wherever Volkov is, danger is not that far behind. Otherwise, I'd be going with all of you. And if it means keeping this sept safe, I'll do whatever it takes.
As befits the Wormfoe.
About that, I don't know what the future holds. For me, for the new nation. But I have my hands rather full being warder. The other pack is ambitious, but also young.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to recommend to Aspen, once you return, that you are granted the title of Wormfoe.
Izzy is honestly shocked as the smile goes just glass brittle. Why? Why would you do that? You're the strongest, without doubt.
I may not
Honestly,
always be here, Isidoro.
Okay.
And also,
And then,
it's not about strength. You have heart, something that I'm still learning, albeit slowly. And you need both to be effective. And I know you can fight. And truthfully, I know you need a purpose here. So as much as this is an honorific that I'm recommending, it's also a challenge to you. Serve the title well. Do what's required.
so you waited until after I gave the faintest thought that I could talk to you again. After I met so many new people, both within my own tribe and without, even humans, and now you're coming in with this expectation.
I'm sending most of the things I hold dearest in this life with you into the dreaming. And the fact that you came here to ask for advice, for strategy, shows me how seriously you take it. You don't know these people as well as I do. You don't have to care for them, have to care for their safety. That was an old nation expectation. This isn't the old nation. But the fact that you do care, and that I see you attempting to connect with them, attempting to make a good second first impression, tells me that you want to belong. And I believe you do.
You would be right. For as long as I was without you, without everyone else, without Rabia or Meme or Summer Song or even Paolo, it felt like the world was burning into blackness. Not a vibrant fire or, brightness of anger, just a smoldering, empty ash. And then, sure enough, I decide to entertain my suicide wish, and you turn me upside down, you and the rest of the sept. So, yeah, it's a little bit more than just me having the heart to know what is expected of me as an Alrune. I may not know them as well as you, but I can see, even I can see, that these Garu are really something.
I think you'll find that it is aggravatingly different than what we're used to.
Oh, yeah. Which is why I'm a little bit peeved at you, Charles Albrecht, that you're even considering something right now as of leaving them.
Believe me, it's the last thing I want, but I can see it preventing harm. and potentially doing some good if I'm in the nation as their asset, helping to change things. But I don't want to leave them. I just don't want to be the reason they're hurt either. Because refusing Volkov is risking his wrath.
Yeah. But you're older now. You can beat him, right?
I don't know.
Okay.
I never have.
But you will?
I have to. I'll try.
You will. Because if you don't, then I'm going to have to. And I don't think I can. So what is the sacrifice here? Do you want your best friend to die trying to avenge your honor? Or do you want to do it yourself? Yeah.
You see the faintest smile across his face as you say it. I'm pondering a third possibility, though I worry that would be kicking the hornet's nest, but it sure would feel better by going and telling them to their face, I'm not interested. Because I don't like doing things through others. Never been my way.
Never.
And as for that black cloud you've lived under, that was the cloud I've lived under my entire life. I was told if I didn't do what I was instructed, then I was just welcoming it. I would make it happen. I was told that it all rested on my shoulders, and this isn't to gain your sympathy, but it is to say that I understand what that feels like. And I'm glad you didn't embrace it.
Izzy will, basically having stood and maybe shuffled on his feet the whole time, slide into one of the chairs at the table as he pops an arm, holding up his chin as he looks past Charles, mostly just sort of at the designs of the glyphs, tracing a finger along the wood before going, you know, I can't say exactly what plans you might have going for you if you were to go with the nation, with your uncle, whatever Silverfang ass decides to start giving you orders, but I think both of us know that sort of political leanings might be beyond either of us. Like, do you remember how Rabia always got coffee from one of us?
Yes.
Just the sheer ingenuity. Like, before you even knew it, you were motivated by such anger that you were going down to the Starbucks or whatever, and it was like you're walking out with the pastry in hand and you're like, wait, she just made us go get breakfast for her. Like, what the fuck?
He knew how to manipulate like the best of them.
Which is to say, you might see something I don't. I just have a hard time finding your plan of attack of being an insider on the nation to be a bit hard to stomach.
As do I. It's not my first choice. It's not even my lower than my last choice, to be completely honest, but I need to know what's happening there. Somebody has the king's ear. Somebody is really controlling the power there and driving everything into the ground. And if nothing else, even if I don't stay there, even if I don't belong there, he's my grandfather.
Izzy is frozen, as I believe this is the first time he's been told this information, yeah?
Yeah.
What?
Jonas Albrecht is my grandfather.
Shut the fuck up. No, he's not.
What is it they say? If I'm lying, I'm dying.
Okay, so... and at that, Izzy is honestly just sort of gobsmacked as he's pulling through years and years of memories of all these self-pompous, like, Silver Fangs coming and meeting Charles at these secluded locations. He always just assumed that Silverfangs just provided these sort of lucrative things for all their members, because obviously, Silverfangs, they're basically royalty. And as the puzzle begins to unravel for someone honestly as simple as Izzy, he looks with a bit of disdain over at Charles, not of, I can't believe you're like descended from the legendary Charles Albrecht, but more, I can't believe you kept this secret. As he goes, so your grandfather put you up with the Piercing Moonrise pack? Or was that still your uncle?
That was more Volkov's decision.
Oh, fuck.
But my grandfather authorized it, as he often does most things that come from trusted advisors. My question is, what are those advisors' motivations?
The good of the nation, right?
I'm not so sure anymore. But regardless, they wield a power and an influence, though it lessened, that could still bring everything being built here to a halt if they wanted to.
Okay. Lot to unpack, Mr. Scion of the King of the Coronation.
And the Falcon chosen heir.
I'm not good with spirits, my fucking ass, man.
I've been running from it my entire life. Because I don't want it, Isidoro. I don't want to be in charge. I don't want to be king. But I also don't want it to fall to someone who is going to exploit it, destroy it.
Was there ever a... I'm sorry. Was there ever a point you wanted to lead? More so than someone telling you you had to lead. Was there ever a point you felt like, this is what I should do?
It was never about leading. It was about keeping those that were under my purview safe, by protecting, by... I'm sure I wanted to at times growing up, but I think I was just repeating or parroting what I had been told.
Yeah.
I didn't open myself up to want, Isidoro, because I didn't think I could have it or I was allowed it. It's funny, Aspen came to me and had a discussion recently where she said I'm allowed to want things and I should have the things that I want, and it's like she was speaking a different language.
Sound familiar?
Too familiar.
Uh-huh.
I am trying to change, and a big part of me wishes I had sooner. Not even a big part, all of me. And I hope that maybe you will give me another chance to, that I can earn that from you. and that I can make up to you what you should have had, what you wanted all along.
If you had told me any of this when I first arrived, I would have probably just thrown everything out the window and attacked you then and there. No way in hell I would believe it. But I found myself just living, and man, does it feel good. And I can see, as much as I still have so much to say, that I think you do too, Charles. More than you know. You got people who love you, people who talk about you behind your back. Not in fear, mind you, just basic gossip shit.
Volkov would be horrified to know that.
Oh, yeah. No dissension. If I could offer any bit of advice to you, Charles, know that just as I tried to tell you so many times, you're not alone, okay? You are not alone.
I believe you.
Good. Because I don't want to repeat it, even though I did.
You are going to make an excellent worm foe.
We'll see. I'm rusty.
This place has a knack of knocking the rust off very, very quickly. Thank you. Thank you for trying then. Thank you for trying now. And I will make sure you don't regret it again.
Izzy has sort of like one sardonic impulse. And as he feels that bitterness well in his chest, he, at the very least, closes around it to not spoil the moment as he goes, yeah, man. Yeah.
Well, getting late, and you have to prepare. All of you. The others should be arriving soon, and the rite should be happening not that long after. I'm glad we had this moment.
I'm glad so, too.
Be safe over there. It is called the dreaming, but dreams can easily turn to nightmares if we're not careful.
I've killed nightmares before. So have you.
True enough. But here we don't accept the sacrifice of others too easily. We try to make sure everyone, including the Arun, makes it out.
Well, that will be a nice change, I think.
Takes some getting used to, but yes.
Come on. Let's look busy.
As the two of you stand up and start preparing, what is Izzy feeling after all of this?
On the surface, and probably like 80% of his emotion is he's riding high. There is a feeling of things are moving forward. The life he once lived is just sort of like a haze, a fading thing in the rearview mirror. And yet, the pain, the memories of his former pack, lost and dead or betrayed, are still these cancer blots in his chest that burn at every warmth, every blossoming flower that he envisions. And he will hopefully deal with them. But for the moment, he goes, there's a mission ahead. We have to focus on that. No time to think about other stuff.
And as day turns to night, so too do we move on to our final scene of the evening. The pack has been gathered. Moses has been escorted to the location where the power that dwells within this cairn will be necessary for the rite to take place. Moses had said a word that stands out to all of you, but none of you can truly understand when referring to the cairn. Purkis, meaning a place of power. As you're all gathered together with Eliza, Artie, and Charles watching on, making sure that you get where you need to go, and also not wanting to not be here for this moment at the very least. The scene is yours for a few moments as Moses, off to one side, prepares his ritual.
Aspen watches what Moses is kind of doing, and she's rubbing her temples and trying to prepare for something that she can't even imagine in her brain. So she just kind of looks up over to Jace. Remind me again of everything. Just remind me again.
Everything. Okay, so where we're going, we need to just follow the path. The path will be laid before us. We just need to stay on it. Don't veer off the path. Now, there are going to be things going on there that might want to pull us off the path. One of the things I've been told is you need to keep true to who you are here and what you are thinking. There are things that will be going on that could try and enter here to make you think something's going on off into the forest, into the plains, a building you see off in the distance. Don't. Stay on the path. If something is to come up, we can veer from the path, but try to keep the path in sight if we have to leave it. The area in which we're going is a long walk. It'll take a long time. Once we get there, we'll have to formulate a plan on what to do. But as far as things that we might meet, last time I was there, there was a knight that was riding on the path, and he didn't really pay too much mind to me or pause for a moment. Ravi, and that could have been because I was with him. Just don't interact with them. Answer when spoken to. Otherwise, we'll just keep walking.
Question.
Yes.
Dreams and decay. You say we're going to be on this path for a extended period of time, right?
Right.
Do we need to worry about food and water, supplies, any of that?
It's not a bad idea.
Can we bring it into the dreaming? I assume it's like the Ember where maybe we can't.
Eliza speaks up at this point. Well, the dreaming is believed to be a corner of the Umbra, one that is cut off from easy access in the penumbra, as it were. A little bit harder to get to, and on purpose, of course. But I have prepared certain rites that should be able to manifest food and water. If it does have access to the Umbra at all, it can draw upon the spirits of the Umbra, although possibly not reliably. But I believe that there is enough that we should be able to be sustained. Also, I think that this Eshu fella, and she looks over towards Moses with the staff, if he wants us there, he will provide. It's the least he can do. She says with an annoyance.
That answers my question.
Aspen will move over by where Jester is and just kind of squeeze her wrist. You okay?
During the whole discussion, I've been kind of nervously like checking my clave in this sheath and like my pockets and my clothes, and I'll just look over Aspen and nods, I guess so. In my head as I'm hearing it, I'm trying to like center myself, and be like, okay, good thoughts, like good thoughts. If it projects and things, I have to have like good thoughts, but like it'll and try to push down the fear. But as it does, like it'll start spiraling. Like, what if it does it to somebody else or me, or what else can they do? And as I do this, my fingers will brush against the bracelet Charles gave me, and I'll feel that familiar like just tingle of silver. And I'll glance at Charles, and then I'll to Aspen, give me a sec. And then I'm going to stride over him and give him like a long, hard kiss. And when I pull away, I'll be home soon. If you have trouble with the hellhounds, just remember, what would Jester do? And I'll give him a wicked grin. And as I turn away, I am holding on to that as sort of a shield to push back the fear that I have.
Jester, give me a composure and resolve check, as has been the case throughout all of this, but I'm going to let you add 2 dice because of going over to Charles.
Okay, what's my rage at?
1. This is to determine what it will stay at for the rest of the scene.
Cool. I have 4 successes.
With that extra bolstered confidence and the reminder around your wrist, your rage stays at 1. The fear diminishes, then goes down to its normal level of underlying current that all Guru feel.
I'll take a deep breath and turn around to join Aspen again, and I have more of that focused look that I usually have on missions. I'm good.
Okay, I believe you. And she'll like look past her over where Charles and Artie are, and she'll just smile and blow Artie a kiss before looking back at Jester.
Artie catches the kiss and puts it in his vest pocket.
She'll smile and look at Jester. We got this.
We got this.
We don't need the boys. We got it.
Nah, we're bad bitches.
Jason, you want a kiss?
My type. Sorry.
Kiss.
At this point, Moses cuts off the interactions by saying, I'm ready.
Okay.
Before we head over, Jace will kind of pat down and realize he has his pistol still, look to everyone, and then he'll make eye contact with Charles and slowly walk over to him and hand it to him. I'll be back for it.
He'll be waiting.
He'll give him a slight pat on the shoulder and then a nice big smile to Artie.
You got this, buddy.
Yeah, just a walk in the park with fantasy stuff. It's great.
You think of it that way, you're not wrong.
Thanks, man. He'll turn around and walk back.
As you all proceed over, you can see that Moses has made a chalk circle with some kind of patterns on the inside, almost like a triangle on the inside of the circle, and certain glyphs poured out in chalk. At the edges of the circle, in the north, the south, the east, and the west, there is fire, a representation of air, a representation of water, and a representation of earth. It says, as I told Jace, I don't know what's going to happen inside of this circle. But no matter what, don't stop me. You have to let this finish. Cross the lines of that circle. It fails. By fails, I don't mean the breaking of the staff. I mean keeping the energy inside of it. And loose energy like this, not a good thing. Tapping into the heart of the Furcus to fuel this thing. He then looks towards Jace, holding his gaze for a moment before giving him a nod and a smile. Although you can see that it is a weak smile, as if somebody is about to walk into a place they won't return from. He picks up the staff and begins incanting in a language that sounds like Latin, but also brings in some African script to it as well. And as he starts to speak, the wind starts to pick up, blowing through the trees. That temperate condition that the cairn has always held falters and gives way to the heat of Florida, the humidity. For a moment, it feels like you're outside of the cairn, not inside of the cairn. And then sigils start to glow along the staff. They start to glow hotter and hotter, and almost immediately Moses's tone changes, and you can actually see smoke and the smell of burning flesh coming from his hands as he holds the staff. But he keeps pushing through with the incantation as best as he possibly can, as his hands continue to burn, that disgusting burnt smell filling your nostrils. As the wind continues to pick up, it almost starts to feel like a hurricane wind forming around the circle itself. You feel like the trees lean in the direction of the circle around, as if trying to create a protective barrier around what's happening here, but also almost being sucked in by this wind. Eventually, Moses gets to what feels like the end of the incantation. And as he looks towards Jace, he raises the staff and pounds it down onto the ground. And like the sound of a crack of thunder, an explosion occurs and a white light flashes, blinding all of your vision. And when you come to, Moses is gone. But so too is the staff. And in its place stands a man with very dark skin, wearing an almost motley colored outfit with a long hat that goes back to a point, one side of it red, one side of it black. Oh, freedom. Never realized how much I missed it. So, are we ready?
Where'd he go?
I don't know. Wasn't part of it for me.
I start looking around, almost pacing around the area, trying to see if there's any remnants of him.
The strange thing is it was an explosion that happened, but you don't see any flesh. You don't see any bone. You don't see any corpse. It's almost as if where Moses was standing, Eshu is now standing. Moses is just gone.
Aspen will walk over to Jace, put her hand on his shoulder. We'll find him, but we've got to stay focused.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
well-
Okay.
I'll walk and go stand by Jace and put a hand on his shoulder. We'll find him. Let's focus on what we do. Make sure this isn't pointless. And then afterwards we go find him.
Izzy will cast a wink from across the way. We didn't go to Orlando for nothing, right?
Yeah. He'll shake it off a little bit and look to Aspen and Jester. Yeah, let's go frolic in a forest or something.
I'm going to take you to the door. And I'll see you on the other side. But the more I'm around, the more attention I draw, Eshu says. I've been missing for some time. So, trust your feet, follow the path, and you'll get where you're going. But for now, and he waves a hand. Let's dream, shall we? And your eyes start to get blurry as you feel this heaviness come upon you as if sudden exhaustion has hit you. But before you hit the ground, you hit the Silver Road. And you are awakened instantly. And in front of you, waiting on the path, is Ravi. Hey guys! And this is where our session comes to a close. But not without one last scene. Paradox has a way of setting things right when they've gone wrong, of restoring reality to its special place. When magic stole Eshu from the world, a lot changed. Some changelings died without their patron to guide them. When Paradox stepped in, the dead were brought back to life as if nothing had ever happened. But to further reassert the issue, to truly have Paradox's resolution, Moses never learned magic. So our scene takes us to the Riverwalk, where an old man with a walking stick, a backpack, a traveler of sorts, wanders up to a bar called the Split Helm. He looks up at the sign and enters. No memory of what came before, except for a really good friend willing to help someone in need. This is where our story comes to a close. Until next time, when it's episode 100, The Journey into the Dreaming, where our pack traverses the Silver Road, encountering all of the good, the bad, and the ugly that comes with it. So make sure to tune into that, because it's going to be a whole dreaming special from start to finish. How this goes, only the players can determine, but make sure to be here for that. Go follow St. Pete by Night on all of the social media down below, and sign up for a Ko-fi membership where you can get all kinds of access to behind the scenes material for as low as $5 a month. We really appreciate you, and it absolutely supports this channel, this community, and this program. But for these amazing players, I'm Kent, and we'll see you next time. Have a lovely night, everyone.
So how with the path, let the night be our guide. In battles of honor, we shall never hide.
This has been a St. Petersburg by Night production, produced in agreement with the World of Darkness and Dark Pack. Visit our website at stpetebynight.com for more information about all of our productions and how you can become part of our community. Thank you for listening, and until next time, fangs, stakes, and claws out.